Yo, 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 what is up, brothers and sisters? Eric Rosen, Viking Rising Astrology. Here we are, that crescendo moment. It's arrived. Pluto is leaving Capricorn. By the time I put this video up, I feel like I'm literally writing my, what's the thing where you do the video right before you die, and then you give it to your loved ones after your death, literally Pluto crossing my sun for the last time. That's kind of how this feels right now. So I think I made it. There's a few more hours to go. Congratulations to all the Capricorns out there that didn't fucking die with Pluto and Capricorn. But by the time you watch this, it's going to be Pluto and Aquarius. And so I think there's a lot of, a common synopsis out there, which is very Aquarius, very common man. Pluto, very truth. There's going to be one unanimous truth about what this Pluto and Aquarius transit's going to mean for the next 20 years. But I just want to remind everyone that Pluto is a revealer. It does dig things up. It does turn things inside out to get to that truth. And so it's going to start turning a sign out that is unpredictable. It's highly unpredictable about it deals with the divine orchestration of just we can have an idea, a light bulb moment of how we think things are going to go, but the certainty is never really there. So while I'm so optimistic about where we're going this next 20 years, the path of how we get there is unpredictable. There may be a part of the collective that chooses the path of least resistance. That could be, because Aquarius is the collective, that could be relying on the evolutionary fear of Pluto to evolve. That's path of least resistance. It's having to evolve because there's no other choice. Survival essentially depends on it. But I think that there's, a less traveled road, which is how do we ascend as a collective, as equals, exploring our evolution of humanity, that we all are cut from the same cloth. But while that can start off as a seed idea, as a theory, as an Aquarian, sort of sparked idea that we want to fixate on to, figure out if it's true or not, we're going to need to use Pluto to go into the descent, of that honest truth. What are the origins of humanity? What are the origins of, even just on an individual and collective level of our approaches to how we deal with problems and solutions. It's going to take a soul level motivation to want to solve any world challenges, right? It can't just be a purely mental concept only. There's got to be a deep soul level emotional investment into wanting to find that highest timeline that's for the benefit of all. It's kind of thinking like Nikola Tesla, he wanted to give people free energy and then work backwards from that. But maybe take out the frequency part of where he kind of wanted to isolate from people though too for his ideas. So it's this very much deals with our value systems. So how do we connect with people? With Uranus and Taurus, it's going to be still your own individual values of how you choose to show up in the world. It's being cautious about judgments and opinions still, especially through mid-January, because now we're shifting out of this earth energy of Pluto and Capricorn to Pluto and Aquarius. And so an air sign and South Node's in Libra, Jupiter's in Gemini. So this is a fuck ton of air energy that we're starting to step into, more now. And so then it's just Uranus and Taurus. And then there's nothing else in the other earth signs. You look at the rest of the zodiac and, it's going to be quite heavy in air and fire, but then that's kind of the theme coming too for the outer planets as well. I mean, Uranus shifting into Gemini, Neptune into Aries, Pluto into Aquarius. It's air and fire. So we're starting this shift already. We're getting kind of a prelude of what is it like to move from more of the feminine concentrated energies of earth and water into more masculine air and fire. And I know it can seem it's so funny. I've just caught this old James Brown video when he was high as fuck on like an interview, and he was like, he's like singing, he's like, it's a man's world, which no one would get away with that nowadays, right? Like you would literally get attacked immediately. It's just like any like negative derivatives of saying something like that, like the guy that was like, your body, my choice, which obviously is ridiculous, but like that was like some really crude version of like saying it's a man's world, right? But it is a masculine paradigm shift that we're going to be stepping into. So I want to warn everyone about that, you know, we have to be able to put our ideas now in a direction that's beneficial for the collective, starting now with Pluto going into Aquarius, because it's not enough to just like have the idea anymore. It's not enough to just like have these Socratic debates about what we're going to do. Again, anytime I use examples of people, I want you to know I'm coming from a neutral hermetic standpoint to base it upon the astrology. It's not about being a fanboy of anyone, but Trump is an example of someone where he's like, he appears to be having ideas, or people have ideas to help his administration, and then he seems to be carrying them out. He said he was going to bring RFK Jr. aboard. He did that. So, you know, there's a lot to be revealed, right? There's no telling for sure. But I think part of the big reveal of like what we're headed into for this next 20 years is a reminder that it's still a Saturn ruled sign in Aquarius, and you know, it's still going to be Pluto in that 60th gate. So it's like things don't just start moving, you know, right away. I don't want people to think that Pluto's going to be Superman, because there is a superhuman, out of this world element, alien element to Aquarius. But it's going to be the exposure, I think, of, you know, and I'll totally give credit to David Palmer, the Leo King. He was my original astrology teacher that I've heard saying this, where it's like, we're the aliens, right? Like we are the original alien, and these ideas that actually aliens will look different. What if that's just like our future evolved self coming back in time, or, you know, bending the Akashic records, black hole energy, whatever you want to call it, to make contact with us, to kind of like help us out and evolve in more of a Aquarian unanimous way that's beneficial for the collective, and not like just, you know, let's all be the same motherfuckers, you know, and just dress the same and act the same, and that somehow is a quality. That it's way more about Pluto exposing our uniqueness on an individual level. I've been saying is definitely about breaking down social conditioning paradigms about how to show up. So, you know, I'd say especially women and men can start to get on board with this too, is there's this shift into masculine energy more as well, where it's like that reveal of your, I guess you could say, your wild side, that sort of wild Aquarian side that's also sexually based, with it being Pluto and Aquarius. That's part of, I think, the innovation, is like, how do we also bring a high vibrational sexual embodiment to who we are, that is liberation for the sake of truth, of true connection, but also because Aquarius deals with all the frequency possibilities we can connect with. It's like radio stations, you can tune to any station, but it's like, do you want to listen to like heavy metal and be polyamorous and maybe have trouble connecting with people, because Aquarius rules like connecting, disconnecting, you know, where it's like you can't emotionally connect because you just want that like Pluto surge, that orgasmic energy with just some random person or some person in your community that you think that you know, but do you? Or do you want it to be something more committal, where it's like you commit to a connection in tribe and community, and see like where's that truth and that vibration, you know, meant to carry you? I would say, if anything, the highest innovation of Pluto and Aquarius isn't going to be to spread our sexual energy all over the place, especially in the culture that we've been evolving in. That's actually more of a lower octave path of humanity, of this OnlyFans, you know, Instagram, just huge porn industry culture, and to go more into going, okay, well, we can't starve our desires, obviously, we can't shit on our sexual energy, but like Pluto in Aquarius can be you know, we kind of got a little preview, but it was like the sneak preview. And the funny thing is that while it might have prepared us for the type of energy, it's probably not even going to be the same of what we experienced from March to September. But it's like using our abilities to connect and harness, you could call it that life force kundalini energy, to ascend, not like descend into like getting too attached to a frequency, and then you get attached to a person, and then it's like now you're attaching like negative entities. Like, I'm just going to be real, this deals with, you know, people thinking that they're being liberated, and really they're just inviting in like lower entities into their lower chakra system, which has already been happening. And then those fuckers hide there until they're extinct and they can't be here anymore, probably especially when Uranus goes into Gemini. But, you know, Pluto in Aquarius also looks at this piece where it's like, it can feel like maybe you're isolated or disconnected spiritually and from the collective, but it's like, it's overcoming your fears too. It's only overcoming your fears to bring your full self at a soul level, to be different and just be around people, essentially, which is like, you just don't have to like worry about being different or being weird, being the weirdo in the room. Like, this isn't even like laying out the red carpet, because that would be very Capricorn straight line. This is like laying out the royal purple fucking rug in the fucking temples and going, everyone's invited. Like, everyone's invited to like having access to sacred channeling and knowledge. And who do you want to be in this reality? What frequency do you want to choose to connect with? And then no longer do we have to worry about sides people are choosing. Like, we don't need to get into that horse shit anymore of hierarchies, of groups of people. It's more just like, hey, you want to go over here? Cool, I'll go over there. Like, the vibrations are going to speak for themselves. It's like, you don't need to worry about people that don't get it like anymore. This is a huge highlight of not trying to save people. This is about, if anything, this is about attracting. This is about going, okay, I woke up, I've evolved, or I'm continuing to evolve and continuing to heal, grow, innovate, bring your best projects, like your expression, into this physical reality of what you're creating, and attract motherfuckers, you know, and connect. But don't be pinging all over the place, like too many ideas trying to help too many people, you know. Pluto is that Grim Reaper aspect too, so there can be a thinning of the herd. I hate to say it that way, but some of that's the writing on the wall with that Aquarian unpredictable nature of people that took that death jab. Just going to be completely honest. And it's also the people that, you know, want to get Pluto manipulated into getting on like the space shuttle or something like that, where it's like, you know, it's like Mars, like retrograde here starts in December, and the plan last I heard was for SpaceX to launch a bunch of rockets. NASA put a bunch of rockets on Mars. So it's like, I wouldn't be the person that, just because you feel maybe a surge of masculine energy, that gets all excited about leaving planet Earth or going to Mars or something, when I think that's like missing the point. You know, this is about, how do we as humanity like solve our issues like together, to where we're just in a divinely prime position from now until, I would say, especially March, when Neptune is about to leave Pisces and it's there with the North Node and Saturn starting to catch up, that we know how to release. We know how to let go of that age of Pisces. We know how to not get too dumbed down to like the movie Idiocracy, into what we think that Pluto and Aquarius is going to be. Because I think that's the number one thing to stress, is because there's so much like pop culture, social media, TikTok, just fucking astrology and ideas, and everyone wants to like circle jerk each other. I'm just going to be crude here, and just very Pluto and Aquarius, and just pump everybody's button, you know, like get everyone all aroused and riled up about that same Aquarian idea. And that's not what this is about. This is more about going, okay, we've had 16 years of breaking down the structures of what hasn't been working. And then now Pluto's going, okay, like now I've got to like resurrect, you know, your ideas that maybe there was red tape because you couldn't like figure it out because there was those Pluto's blocks, and going, now what's your excuse? Like there's no more excuses to being able to channel, to connect to your ideas, and to use basically Kundalini work, you know, is one way to put it. It's almost like meditations that connect to the right frequencies to bring things in. But this deals with resources of how to create things. But you also got to be mindful of like, what is it that you're actually creating? Like, are you in a position where you're afraid to command in connecting to that highest frequency and that highest timeline? Because this is definitely not about, I'd say especially with Mars, that's going to be making some oppositions in Leo and its retrograde periods, of that's just some childlike use of your just like ego, like that you're going and just like playing up there. And it would be like giving a 3-year-old a VR headset for the first time and then telling them to go walk around a room with like Indiana Jones like booby traps sticking out of the wall, and then being like, oh, it'll be okay, we'll catch them before they hurt themselves. Like, you got to know what you're doing. I just want to remind everybody, like, we are stepping into spiritual revelations of a war of disagreements between outer level entities, those working for the light, those working for deception of the dark, of keeping people trapped, and then any hybrid humans that have been working on this planet with those lower entities, like certain religions, certain people out in the tech parts of the world, like Silicon Valley. I feel like I'm gonna get flagged for that one, but whatever. It's this piece where I think we're gonna be sitting around like Christmas, you know, Eve, like the day like leading up, of like Pluto's not in Capricorn anymore, and it's like this final acceptance of like, wow, you know, those like traditions, like those are really not really just like the thing to like really get passionate about anymore. Like, we've got to start to look at divine timing and the divine calendar of things, of going, okay, whatever, it's Christmas.